Hello everyone, my name is Anthony John Agnello, and I am joined here with Xav D'Amatos to talk about the PlayStation 4's debut exclusive racing game, Driveclub, by Evolution Studios. Their first big racing game for the PlayStation 3 was MotorStorm. And I'm curious, MotorStorm used the power of the PlayStation 3 at the time to have all this crazy physics and to make and render these really dirty, muddy tracks. And that was kind of how it utilized what that console could do. What is Driveclub doing with the PlayStation 4 that really sort of singles it out as a next-gen game? What's it doing that it couldn't on another machine?
A racing game is a really good indicator of how powerful your machine is in comparison to the real-life models. Like, you know what a car in real life looks like, you know what some of these tracks look like in real life. So it's a good representation of, like, how powerful is this hardware to render these amazing things. And we've gotten to a point where racing games look so good that there needs to be something new that they do. I mean, it just can't be about the power because things already look fantastic. So what Evolution has done is they're going in a different direction with it. They're making a right turn, let's say. And they're going with social features. The game does look great and has amazing sound design, but what they're trying to input, and one of the reasons why it was delayed, was they have a lot of social features baked into the UI of the game. So an example is you would be in the campaign mode screen, you hit down on your D-pad, and it opens up this window. And it looks a little bit like the PlayStation 4 dashboard where you get more information on games, where there's just boxes of information. You see what your friends are doing in real time. You see challenges that they've assigned to people or they've sent out to their friends list. You see who's racing and what they're doing. You get notifications on the app on your iPhone or Android. It's trying to get people connected to the world and really care about what's happening, a little bit like what EA has done with their Need for Speed series, really keeping people connected and interested in what's happening all the time, no matter whether they're playing the game or out on the bus holding their phone. So I think that is where the innovation's coming from, and that's what Evolution is trying to do with Driveclub.
So Xav, you're talking about how they've sort of decided to make this very much about its social features rather than saying, like, this is just the hardest of hardcore technology showcase. I'm wondering, though, how it feels when you're on the road. MotorStorm was a very difficult and demanding game, but ultimately a sort of arcadey feel. It was all about just driving the courses. It wasn't about simulating the driving experience. And, it's hard to judge, looking at Driveclub, how this is going to feel, since it goes with a very realistic presentation. What is the tactility of Driveclub?
I feel like Driveclub sort of lives in a place between a Gran Turismo and a Need for Speed. It's not a hardcore simulation game. And a good example of how you know that's true is that the customization is very limited in Driveclub. So there are real-world cars, obviously, in Driveclub, and I drove a couple Ferraris and a couple other brands, obviously, that people will recognize. And they are the top models, tweaked to perfection, that you would ever want. And the customization options that you have in Driveclub are limited to, you could put liveries on, you could change the colors, you could change the aesthetic look of the vehicles, but you can't customize the components. When you actually drive the car, it feels a little bit more simulation. You're not going to be doing crazy slides like in a MotorStorm game. You can do a little bit of that stuff, but it is a little bit more skewed into simulation. The cars feel more realistic, but if you're looking for this is a stopgap from a Gran Turismo, another game where you are fond of purchasing your cars and tweaking them, making sure they're perfect for you, Driveclub is not going to scratch that itch. Driveclub does not exist as a replacement for Gran Turismo. It sort of fills a niche that I think Forza Horizon has opened up for Microsoft.
So in all of these racing games that we're talking about, all of them have that sort of progression where you go through, and it's not just unlocking new challenges and unlocking new tracks. Part of the joy is unlocking new cars. And the way that works in Driveclub is you earn fame and by doing these races, and you level up, and when you level up, you get a new car. But Evolution Studios is making it so that you can actually go in and buy a car rather than just waiting to level up. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you can use real money to purchase any vehicle in the game that you want. Now, if you think about it in terms of a comparison with Forza, in Forza Motorsport, the latest one that was on Xbox One, there's an in-game currency, and you use that currency to then purchase vehicles. Whereas in Driveclub, when you want to buy a new car, you're not pumping money into this in-game currency, you're just going to buy the car outright. And they haven't set prices on the vehicles, and they have not decided if every vehicle is going to be the same price or there are going to be different prices. But it also puts it in a weird position because then there's the free version of the game for PlayStation Plus members, which includes 11 tracks and 10 cars. Now, you would think in that scenario, you would get those 11 tracks and 10 cars and just think, well, I would like to race this one particular car that I don't have available to me. I will make that purchase of that one car. They're not doing that. So you can't purchase things piecemeal. You can only purchase the unlock for the game in the full version of the game after you've purchased it, either digitally or at a retail store. So it's not a situation where you can get the free version and then decide to purchase like bits and pieces. You can either purchase the full title and then have the ability to then buy the unlock for the car that's available if you were just to race on your own because you want to use that particular car at a certain time, or just race the game, play the game, unlock it using fame, and then that way you don't have to spend any additional money. It's an interesting system that they have in store. I know there are people that like to get right to the vehicle that they're interested in. I mean, if you see a car in an advertisement for the game that you really want to play and it is the last rung on this long ladder of unlocks, maybe it's something that appeals to you. But if you want to just play the game and unlock it as you go along, there is nothing that is hidden behind a paywall in this game.
It really does sound like the PlayStation Plus version of the game, too, is its own separate thing.
The thing that it seems to me, and this is something that they have not set out right because maybe it puts them in a bad position, or it might make it seem like the PlayStation Plus version is not as interesting, is it seems like kind of a glorified demo. I mean, there's a vertical slice of what is available in that game that gives you a tease, but I don't think a lot of people are going to get the free version of Driveclub and really enjoy it and then decide to never upgrade, because it is pretty limited. You get to a point where you've unlocked all the cars, you've raced on all the tracks. All of the game modes from the main game are in the PlayStation Plus version, but you are limited in what you can do and how you can progress. And if you really want to progress, the only way to do that is to purchase the upgrade, which is not necessarily a bad thing. If you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you do get a demo of this game that is going to be larger than any other demo, really. You do get a very good package in that sense that you can try out this game and decide whether or not it's something you want to spend money on, but it isn't a replacement for, well, I have PlayStation Plus, that means I don't need to buy Driveclub if I'm really anticipating it.
As exciting as all of the sort of new social features that Evolution Studios has put into Driveclub, and, you know, as interesting as the model of how it's going to get people playing Driveclub with this weird free version and all that, you know, there are those people who are new PlayStation 4 owners that want something that is just, you know, a feast for the eyes. They want eye candy. They want something that they can put on and wow their friends. And is Driveclub that game?
I think Driveclub looks outstanding. The models and the vehicles are fantastic. The cockpit view for all of the vehicles looks amazing. I drive in racing games specifically in that view, and the sound design is outstanding. When you're outside of the vehicle, there's a very different sound to the vehicle than when you're inside, and I think a lot of racing games don't get that right. They just muffle the sound versus actually getting what it sounds like when you're behind the wheel of some of these vehicles. The landscapes, the vistas, for the most part, look fantastic. Although I saw a couple of rough ones. The game's not out yet. It's coming out later this year, so that stuff can change. But I think it is a feast for the eyes, like you said. It is something that you will want to show off the power of the PlayStation, and it's something that racing games do very well. They show off to people who aren't even gamers necessarily. Look how amazing technology has gotten in video games, because look at these vehicles, look at these vistas that they've created. I think in some of the environments, it's a little bit different than a Forza, because there is a real-life comparison to, oh, I know that racetrack, or I know that place. Whereas in Evolution's game, there aren't real representations of racetracks. It's sort of creations based on things. So that might be a little bit of a difference, but I think it is a great-looking game, and I think that people will love to show it off. As it stands, the current release date for Driveclub is October 7th for the PlayStation 4, Also, as we mentioned, there will be a PlayStation Plus version, which includes 11 tracks and 10 cars for people to try out. The game is going to be available digitally and at retail, and hopefully, barring any other further delays, people will get their hands on it pretty soon. And hopefully, barring any other further delays, people will get their hands on it pretty soon.
Vroom!
The worst.
The worst!